Is the Iraqi dinar about to revalue? A deep dive into the latest RV buzz in the ever-watchful community of Iraqi dinar investors and global currency enthusiasts. Today's developments are igniting a level of excitement we haven't seen in years. Speculation has long surrounded the idea that the Iraqi dinar, IQD, will undergo a major revaluation, RV, potentially lifting its value dramatically against the US dollar. But while many past claims have failed to materialize, the current momentum suggests that this may not be just another rumor. With chatter intensifying around a potential screen rate update by Wells Fargo and suggestions of a pivotal 5 o'clock p.m. reveal, many are asking, is the long-awaited RV finally about to happen? What makes this moment stand out is the convergence of multiple credible indicators. Iraq has recently implemented key banking and financial infrastructure reforms aimed at modernizing its monetary system, improving transparency, and aligning more closely with international financial standards. These measures, including digital payment advancements, anti-corruption crackdowns, and tighter monetary policies, have laid the groundwork for a stable economic environment, a prerequisite for any currency revaluation of substance. In tandem, policy discussions both in Baghdad and among international observers hint at a renewed emphasis on fiscal sovereignty and economic empowerment, potentially supported by international entities seeking to stabilize and strengthen Iraq's role in regional commerce. Furthermore, there are murmurs that select banking institutions in the US and Middle East are internally testing rate update protocols for the dinar, sparking theories that they may be prepping for a coordinated release. While none of these developments serve as definitive proof, the simultaneity of these actions has raised eyebrows, especially among veteran dinar watchers who have seen years of buildup and disappointment. Skeptics rightly point out the lack of official confirmation from the Central Bank of Iraq, CBI, or globally recognized financial bodies, urging caution and patience. However, even they acknowledge that the underlying economic shifts in Iraq are real, measurable, and moving in a direction that could support a higher valuation of the dinar over time. Could today be the day it begins? That remains to be seen. But the depth and volume of the current buzz, more coordinated, more grounded and tied to observable developments, are unlike anything seen in recent years. Whether this results in a sharp, immediate RV or a more gradual appreciation, the landscape appears to be shifting. For those closely following the dinar, this may be the time to pay extra attention, not just to rumors, but to the real economic and geopolitical movements beneath them. As always, the best approach remains informed skepticism, backed by continual monitoring of credible sources and institutional updates. Stay tuned, today might just be historic. Why this time feels different. A quick historical context to fully understand the buzz surrounding the potential Iraqi dinar revaluation, RV. It's essential to revisit the history of this long-anticipated financial event. Since the early 2000s, following the fall of Saddam Hussein and the collapse of Iraq's financial infrastructure, investors and currency watchers have speculated that the Iraqi dinar would eventually be restored to a higher, globally competitive exchange rate. The reasoning has always centered on Iraq's immense natural resources, especially oil, and the belief that, once political and economic stability was achieved, its currency would naturally appreciate to reflect the nation's true wealth. Yet for more than a decade, this RV remained elusive, not due to lack of potential, but because Iraq simply wasn't ready. Years of internal conflict, corruption, inconsistent governance, and outdated banking systems made any such move virtually impossible. But now, something has changed. Over the past 12 months, Iraq has embarked on a quiet but focused campaign of monetary and structural reform, targeting exactly the areas that had previously held it back. From anti-money laundering initiatives and enhanced transparency in government spending, to partnerships with global financial institutions and the modernization of its central banking policies, Iraq is laying the groundwork for stability. These aren't cosmetic fixes, they are fundamental shifts that signal long-term planning and international alignment. And this brings us to the current surge of speculation, particularly regarding Wells Fargo's alleged movements. Reports suggest that Wells Fargo, one of the major U.S. banking institutions, may be preparing to reflect a new exchange rate for the Iraqi dinar on its internal systems. Though nothing has been publicly confirmed by the bank, the implication is significant. If these internal rate updates are indeed happening, it would mean that major financial entities are not just aware of an impending shift, they're preparing to act on it. Such readiness would require multi-layered coordination, from updated banking software and protocols to trained staff and prepped redemption centers. These centers, used during large-scale currency exchanges or asset redemption scenarios, are reportedly on high alert. Staff have allegedly been briefed, systems tested, and specific protocols activated, all signs of high-level preparedness for something major. What distinguishes this moment from past false starts is the combination of Iraq's clear structural progress and the breadth of institutional response being reported. Unlike previous years, where rumors of an RV were largely driven by speculative chatter in online forums, this time there appear to be tangible shifts occurring behind the scenes. While no one should leap into blind certainty, the level of interinstitutional coordination being suggested, stretching from U.S. banks to global currency monitoring platforms, hints at a seriousness not previously seen. Whether the RV occurs today, next week, or months from now, one thing is clear. The environment surrounding the Iraqi dinar is changing, and fast. For many in the community, this feels less like wishful thinking and more like a signal that the long-anticipated moment may finally be within reach. Economic and monetary reforms. Iraq's silent revolution, while much of the global spotlight has been fixated on Iraq's political shifts or oil output, a quiet yet transformative revolution has been unfolding within its financial system. The Central Bank of Iraq, CBI, often underestimated in global economic circles, has been spearheading a series of sweeping reforms that may well lay the foundation for a revaluation, RV, of the Iraqi dinar. These changes have not been mere policy gestures. They reflect a calculated strategy to modernize Iraq's economy, curb illicit financial activity, and prepare the country for deeper integration into the international financial system. At the heart of this transformation is the CBI's aggressive crackdown on black market currency trading. For years, Iraq's parallel exchange market eroded confidence in the official value of the dinar, creating chaos in the flow of foreign currency and fostering economic distortions. Recently, however, the CBI has instituted stricter licensing protocols for currency exchangers, tighter audit mechanisms, and surveillance tools designed to track and penalize unauthorized transactions. By reining in these practices, Iraq is not only strengthening the legitimacy of its financial institutions, but also signaling to global markets that it can enforce monetary discipline, a prerequisite for any meaningful revaluation. Equally impactful is Iraq's transition toward digital payments. This shift from cash-based to digital transactions is helping reduce corruption, improve tax compliance, and bring informal economic activity into the formal sector. Initiatives such as mobile banking expansion, government payroll digitization, and the rollout of digital point-of-sale systems are not just modern conveniences. They are strategic moves to build transparency, data accuracy, and fiscal control. A digital economy also provides the infrastructure needed to support a stable, internationally tradable currency, further reinforcing the possibility of an RV in the near future. Another critical reform comes in the form of Iraq's bolstered foreign currency reserves. As of recent reports, these reserves have reached their highest levels in over a decade, giving the central bank greater latitude to support the dinar in global markets and manage potential volatility. Strong reserves act as a buffer against currency shocks and bolster investor confidence, two vital ingredients for sustaining a higher exchange rate. In parallel, Iraq has implemented tighter controls over the movement of U.S. dollars in and out of the country. These measures are designed to crack down on money laundering, terrorist financing, and dollar smuggling, long-standing issues that have plagued Iraq's financial credibility. By introducing stricter banking compliance and cooperating more closely with international regulators, Iraq is aligning itself with global financial norms, another step in preparing for currency reform. Together, these initiatives do more than simply tidy up Iraq's financial system. They represent a full-scale restructuring aimed at long-term economic resilience. Each reform reinforces the others, building a network of institutional readiness that could realistically support a stronger and more stable dinar. While no official RV has been declared, the groundwork being laid suggests that Iraq is no longer just aspiring to reform. It is actively executing a financial renaissance with global implications. For those closely monitoring the dinar, these silent yet powerful reforms are perhaps the strongest indicators that real change is not only possible, it may be imminent. Globe showing Europe-Africa global attention, Iraq and the international financial stage, while much of the discussion surrounding the potential revaluation, RV of the Iraqi dinar, has centered on domestic policy and internal reforms. It's critical to recognize the equally significant progress Iraq has made on the international front. The country is no longer operating in the shadow of its post-war economy. Instead, it is actively re-engaging with global financial institutions, shaping a new identity rooted in legitimacy, transparency, and cooperation. One of the most important developments has been Iraq's renewed participation in dialogue with global financial bodies. These include preliminary steps toward deeper cooperation with organizations such as the International Monetary Fund, IMF, the World Bank, and especially the Financial Action Task Force, FATF, which sets global standards for anti-money laundering, AML, and counterterrorism financing. Iraq's efforts to comply with FATF recommendations are a major step toward shedding the country's long-standing image as a high-risk jurisdiction. Compliance with these standards signals to international banks and investors that Iraq is serious about operating within a stable and secure financial framework. Equally noteworthy are Iraq's partnerships with foreign monetary consultants and global banking institutions. These relationships go beyond symbolic meetings. They involve real-world training, policy advisory services, and collaborative reform initiatives aimed at restructuring Iraq's monetary strategy. The presence of foreign banking experts inside Iraq, many of whom are assisting with modernization of payment systems, reserve management, and monetary policy, reflects the growing level of trust and technical exchange between Iraq and the international community. Additionally, Iraq is inching closer to formal participation in the World Trade Organization, WTO, a step that would further entrench its role in the global economy. WTO integration requires a country to meet specific trade, banking, and policy standards. Another indicator that Iraq is aligning its legal and financial framework with global norms. If Iraq were planning to revalue the dinar, doing so in the context of international legitimacy and credibility would be crucial. A revaluation isn't just a domestic event. It has implications for currency markets, foreign investments, and bilateral trade agreements. That's why these international moves matter. They provide the geopolitical and financial context in which a dinar RV becomes both feasible and sustainable. 5 o'clock timing. Why 5 o'clock p.m. is being watched closely amid all the speculation and analysis. One specific detail has caught the dinar community's attention: the time. More specifically, why 5 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time is being flagged as a potential trigger point. This isn't arbitrary. The 5 o'clock p.m. window coincides with a critical moment in global financial operations, the point at which U.S. markets close and international systems begin their next cycle. In banking, foreign exchange markets, and interbank networks, 5 o'clock p.m. ET is often used to process end-of-day settlements, initiate overnight rate updates, and synchronize currency exchange tables across global platforms. If Wells Fargo, or any other Tier 1 financial institution, were to update the screen rate of the Iraqi dinar, doing so during this window would allow for minimal disruption and controlled dissemination of the change across systems. It would also allow back-end infrastructure such as redemption centers, forex platforms, and compliance teams to manage the shift in real time. In essence, this timing provides a strategic and technical advantage for rolling out major updates, and that's why so many eyes are fixed on this specific hour. Whether it marks the beginning of a historic RV or another chapter in the waiting game, the build-up to 5 o'clock p.m. reflects the serious tone and structured planning that's defining this moment in the dinar story. Disclaimer: this article is intended for educational purposes only and does not constitute financial, legal, or tax advice. The foreign exchange market is inherently risky and prone to misinformation. Consult with qualified professionals before making any investment decision. Iraqi Dinar RV is not liable for any losses or damages resulting from the use or reliance on this content.